This is The Sport, an open and honest conversation about life and love and everything in between with me, STL Yamumo. Yeah, Mambo VP, how you doing? Thank you for tuning in yet again right here on The Spot. I am STL Yamumo and today we have SUGU VUDU.
Yeah, what's up?
What's up?
Easy like a Sunday morning, easy like peasy.
Shikamo.
Marasaba.
Manze, drop something before we can even get to introduce Weni Nani. Yeah.
Okay. Yo, born in the brothel, no role model. Wish to be a lawyer, but forced to be a rebel. Cast and rejected by the system. 21, she bought a gun from the gang. Call it bloody murder, she was ready for whatever. We used to call her Lisa. Her mama was a hooker, her papa was a tanker. Addicted to the liquor, though they never boxed her. The pain they inflict her was deeper than her cancer cell. Feeding on her future self, her mama never really cared. Always on her booty cell, spirit of a Jezebel. Screaming night to the posh hotel, ask her why she do that. She tell you for a daughter. Addiction's getting deeper, the demon's getting stronger. Look into her eyes, the snow in her soul is melting into ice. Look closely.
Yeah. Whoa.
Whoa, you want some more?
Later. Definitely, I want some more, but a bit later. How would you introduce yourself?
Well, SUGU VUDU is a Kenyan-based rap artist and a spoken word artist who also ran an outreach initiative that seek to reduce poverty, illiteracy, and diseases in my community and in Africa at large.
Ambapo una represent mtaa gani?
Na represent Dagoretti South.
Yes.
Natoka place naitwa Kabiria. Hapo kwa maji, Seti. Na represent Kawangware bado, na represent Kebera. I rep all the ghettos.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming through.
Asante.
Let's start on a happy note. Yeah. What happy memories do you hold growing up?
Happy memories that I hold growing up. Labda nikiwa scout, kienda camping. I think that was fun.
Okay.
Going out for camping and stuff like that. Actually, I miss camping. I should go for camping one of these days. That was the most amazing thing I think I've experienced when I was little. Yeah. And then also getting to, when I was growing up, when I was, I think, in class 6, getting to meet some of the greatest artists today.
Okay.
Back then, they were not that big. And especially Nyashinsky, because he really played a big role in inspiring my music. I remember going to the studio somewhere in Ayani, it was called Underdog Records. It was run by one DJ called DJ Babs, who is also a producer. And I remember every Saturday I would meet Nashinsky there in Kolo, and Nyash would tell me, this is what you should write. This is how you should write. When you're writing music, write something that you've really experienced. I was young then, but he saw something in me. And that is one thing I really appreciate.
Wow. Who would have thought that you doing your thing, unge cross paths na one of the greatest, Nyash? Yeah. I mean.
He's a goat.
And you're a goat as well.
Thank you.
I think it's just that a lot of people haven't had your work, but once they do, trust me, this guy is amazing. Yeah, you are.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I believe in myself. I believe I have the capacity, the ability. I believe I have the strength. I believe I have the skill. And I believe I'm creative enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to us about your growing up. How was it?
Well, me growing up, I grew up in different places, I will say so. Well, I was born in Kibra, Apo Kambimuru. There's a place called Kambimuru in Kibra. I was born there. I was raised there a little bit. And then I went all the way to rural area. And then I came back to Nairobi again.
At this time, were you living with your parents?
Yeah, I was living with my parents at that time.
Okay.
Both of my parents. Huh? But then when I came back from the rural area, I lost my dad. I was in class 3.
Okay.
Yeah, then I lost my father. Life was not that sweet growing up, yeah. Because I remember my mom used to sell, after I lost my father, My mom lost a job too. So she started selling illicit brew, changa, ngango, and life was not that good. She became irresponsible a little bit, I would say so, though I still love her. So it brought a lot of challenges, as a young kid growing up. You've lost your father, seeing your mom selling liquor, different people coming to your house, and it is a single room, and then zile nyumba zenye usiku sasa kulala, mnatoa meza, mnaeka juu ya kiti,
Yeah.
It was tricky, and it really affected me.
Did you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a brother. I have an older brother. I have an elder brother. Yeah, but my elder brother wasn't residing with us at that time. My elder brother was residing with my grandma from my mom's side.
Okay.
My mom's mom, that is, because they're really close.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you say that you living in that kind of environment affected you in what way?
Well, mentally,
Okay.
mental health is a real issue. Let me put it that way. Mentally, it affected me. It affected me in a very bad way. Seeing people coming to your mom's house, na unajua nyumba ya changa venye nakuaga, people spanking your mom and stuff like that. People getting drunk and vomiting in your house. People speaking vulgar languages in your house and stuff like that. People shouting, sometimes even fighting, It really affects you a lot. Yeah.
Okay. And how did that shape you in life? Like, how did that, are there things you probably acquired or habits you acquired as a result of being in that environment? Or maybe I should ask, growing up in that environment, what became your dark side?
My dark side became, I remember I left home when I was in class 6. I left home. I went to live somewhere in Shilanga with a cousin of mine who later on joined the militia at that time, and the house was left. I was left in the house all alone. I was young. And through that, I started engaging myself in crime. I was influenced into crime and stuff like that because I had to survive, and I got into crime and it really turned my life all around, Well, it was sweet, but it was bitter,
How so?
Bitter in a way that you're not at peace, when you know that the government, or rather the National Police Service is looking for criminals like you, you're not safe at all. You make money, but you cannot enjoy that money, And then also it got to a point where I started losing friends, and it even got to a point where I was shot at like 3 times, and this really affected my life, Yeah. I couldn't stay in one place. I had to move from different places because I was always afraid that they will find me, they will take me down, because that is what happened to most of my friends. Yeah, you will be tracked down to your residential area, and you'll be, at that time they were called flying squad, and then they will take you out and then just shoot you in the head, and that's it.
What are some of the criminal activities did you have a gang?
Well,
How many were you?
We had a gang. At first we were 4, then we grew, we got to 7, and then we started reducing because of the extrajudicial killings, I would say so. Yeah.
Talk to us about what goes through the mind of a criminal, like outrightly, kila mtu, it's wrong. There's a probability of the mob justice, the police. I mean, a life in crime is not the way to go, but what goes through the mind of a criminal?
A lot of things goes through the mind of a criminal, I would say so. It's, just like people are different, huh? Some have fear, some don't, And more often you're pushed to this point of becoming a criminal because of basic needs, And just like in any other business, when a robber wakes up, and they're planning to raid somewhere or planning to ambush somewhere and stuff like that, is you take a risk, just like in any other business.
Wow.
You're ready to take a risk.
Okay.
But in this case, the risk is your life. Yeah. It's way more complex to explain. I think it narrows down to an individual. That is what I would say. Yeah.
What is the riskiest crime you ever did?
Highway robbery.
What happened? Walk us through the events of that particular day.
Well, it was the second time. We thought we had grown. We had more equipment.
By more equipment means
I mean, rifles. We had like 2 AKs, and 3 pistols, and we thought we had a few bullets, so we thought we had grown. We thought we wanted to do the big man thing, So we planned, and wow, we had a plan, and everything went well until, because what happens when you're 7 guys, one of you places himself in front of the road, like in the middle of the road.
so it was.
Then you cock. When a car is coming, you cock.
Okay.
You aim at the car. The car will definitely stop, because if it doesn't, you shoot. So it will definitely stop, because people prefer, instead of taking away their lives, you rather take the material things, because material things can always be gathered again. But life, once taken away, it's gone.
It's gone, yeah.
So that day, we didn't know that the car that was coming was a police car.
Whoa.
And that the guy who was standing, a friend of mine who was standing there, I don't want to mention names, was shot dead there and then.
Wow.
Then the rest of us had to run, and then they followed us.
What year was this?
That was 2005. Yeah.
And how old were you at that particular time?
I was young. I was very young. I was around 15.
Whoa. Being in that moment, trying to run for your life, did that make you want to change your life?
Well, it did to some point, yeah. It did. It did make me want to change my life. But unfortunately, crime is something different, and then especially when you have needs, and when you test the money, when you've tested the money, you want to test it again and again and again. Yeah.
When was your turning point?
My turning point is when I got my daughter, and when I realized that we were only 3 people left in the gang.
Out of 7?
Out of 7. Especially when I got my daughter, it made me different. I wanted to give life. I wanted to support life. I didn't want her life to go like my life did. So I wanted to make life. And that is the moment I said, I'm going to change. And then I had some money. I took the money and I started a shoe business in Adams. I would sell ladies' shoes for a while, and then, yeah. So I did that for a while. Then I got a job.
Okay.
Through a friend who wanted to help me change. And I started working with a volunteer organization, and I think from there, and things have been a little bit different.
Okay. Allow me to just backtrack a little bit, because sometimes in life, we really want to move on, but sometimes we're held back.
Yeah.
Were you at any given time feeling like, or getting tempted after you moved on? Did you ever have a relapse?
Well, yeah, I did. A few years ago. I did, and I made a mistake. And again, as usual, I was arrested. That was the second time I was being arrested. I was arrested, and spent a few months in the remand, and I came back. But I regret. I sincerely regret, yeah, because I wasted my time, I wasted my career, I wasted my energy, yeah.
Okay. You spoke about your best moment being meeting Nyashinsky and just him encouraging you to follow your path. At that point when you were meeting him, did you know you wanted to be an artist, and how was life working out for you at that time?
Yeah, I knew I wanted to be an artist. I was young. I was still in school. I would rap in school. My classmates would really encourage me. We would do some freestyle stuff in class. At that time, I was in Jamhuri Primary. We'll do some freestyle, and my friends loved it. And they all thought that I'm a good artist. I'm a good rapper.
Yeah.
And I think that was just that. And all the way, I don't think there's a point that I've ever stopped loving music, especially hip hop music. Yeah.
When you think about hip hop music, they say hip hop music is the one kind of music that represents the guys in the ghetto. It's the hood life. How does that relate to you?
Well, hip hop is not just the hood life. Hip hop is a culture, It's a culture of love, and a way of expression, And when hip hop started way back with Bamba Tululu in the United States and all that time, way back before Tupac and all those people, hip hop has 5 elements basically. Hip hop was used to fight racism.
Okay.
Because there was a lot of racism in the States. So the blacks would express themselves through rap music. Yeah. And through that, they got their voices out there. Yeah. It was something that the blacks felt that they owned. For the first time, they felt they had owned something. It was more of like hope to the people. Well, yes, hip hop speaks a lot about hood life and stuff like that, but it also speaks about other things, just like any other genre of music.
Okay.
Yeah.
You spoke about it having 5 elements. Maybe you mentioned one, the other 4?
Well, of course, there's rap, which is rhythm and poetry.
Okay.
We have graffiti. We have beatboxing. We have this dancing stuff. This
A breakdance?
It's more of like a breakdance. That's what people call it.
Yeah.
And of course, we have now the DJing part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So for you, when at what point did you realize that, okay, you always wanted to do music, but at what point did you choose music over crime?
Well, I think music was always the key thing to me, even when I was in crime. Music, I don't think there's anything that has ever been above music in my life, Even when I was involved in crime, I still loved music. And I always knew that this was the way to go, because to me, music was more of like, whenever I wrote music, I felt at peace. I would express my bitterness, my pain through lyrics, and yeah. It was a way of expression to release the anger that I had, because growing up as a child, I went through a lot. I think it's, what do we call it? PTSD and stuff like that, Yeah. So I was trying to relieve myself, and music was the only way, It's the only it's the only language that I understand better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to us about your first song, that the first time you walked into a studio and actually recorded your first song.
Wow.
And what song was it?
Wow, that is many, many years ago.
Yeah.
Well, the first time I walked into the studio, the studio was located in Jamhuri Showground. It was called Woods Records. It's where Badman College, if you know Badman College, they used to sing reggae. It's where they were recording at that time. And this guy called Simo, he was the producer at that time. I think he's now residing in Sweden.
Okay.
And he had me rapping. There was this roadshow stuff happening in 42. Coca-Cola brand had brought some roadshow in 42. And I went to the stage because my friends told me, like, you can do it, you can do it. So I went to the stage and I performed, and Simon was there. And the moment I came out of the stage, he told me, come, I'll record you. And the first song I did was a gospel song, and I didn't do it alone. I did it with two of my classmates. Yeah.
It was a gospel song.
It was a gospel song, yeah.
And that brings in the question of, are you spiritual? Are you religious? And at that point you were doing that song. What inspired it?
Well, at that time I was doing that because, growing up as a child, everybody goes to church or mosque perhaps, or the temple perhaps. So I saw that the easiest opportunity, and then being a child, the easiest opportunity was the church. So I didn't really know much, so I just came up with a hook and stuff like that. And yeah, I wrote a song. And concerning being religious or spiritual, I'm more spiritual than I don't like religion at all. I think religion is the reason why the world is starving, the world is dying today because of religion. Religion is slavery. Religion has brainwashed so many of us.
In what way?
Yeah, you look at the world today. Look at ISIS. Look at the radicalized Muslims standing up and fighting, and stuff like that. Because of religion and stuff like that. So I don't think religion is a good thing. I think religion in itself, religion is the sin. There's no other sin apart from religion. Religion is the sin. Yeah.
You believe more in spirituality and also being in your culture?
Yeah, in my culture. And then I believe I have my own way of things. Because I've been to madrasa.
Okay.
I've studied a little bit of Buddhism. Well, I've studied the gospel itself. I've been with the SDS. I've studied what they're doing, like a full course. The Protestants. I've also studied a bit of catechism, the Catholic stuff. So I'm here and there, and I read a lot of books, spiritual books. My favorite is The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari.
Tell me about it. I've been planning to read that book, but I keep procrastinating. What are some of the lessons you drew from that?
One of the most key thing from that book that I learned was self-realization.
Okay. Self-consciousness.
That is everything. That entails everything. Yeah.
Okay. You've studied a lot of religious books.
Yeah, and also I've been to religious classes.
Yeah. What is common with them? What is the one thing that, unites them?
God. God is love. And the devil is black. That is the only thing that unites them.
I always find it very interesting when you read books and the angel is always white and the devil is always black.
Yeah.
And it kind of made... it's a brainwash in itself, in that we as black people feel like the lighter you are, doesn't matter if you're light skin, you're a black person and you're light skin, or you're a white person, you're still more superior to some extent.
That is why people like Vera Sidika want to bleach, because they want to become gods. That is why Michael Jackson and Ali bleach.
But Michael Jackson was a totally different case, because I think he had a skin condition, he had vitiligo.
Well, he did.
Yeah, that was an exception to some extent.
Partly, but bleaching was an excuse. He wanted to be accepted in the white lands.
You think so?
I don't think so. I know so.
Do you think that if Michael Jackson did exist today, whereby we have so many celebrities, and we are also, people get famous on social media, do you think he'll still be as famous as he was?
Well, MJ is the king of pop.
Yeah, he is.
No one can perform like MJ.
But do you think in this era he will have been?
He still would have been, because look at his life all the way. Look at how many years he took over the industry.
Yeah.
You know, and he was flexible, you know, and he was flexible. He would adjust to any generation, you know. So I think with his creativity, yeah, I believe so.
You believe so?
I believe so.
I believe so as well. And but do you think with his level of popularity and fame, do you still think he wasn't fully confident about himself, that he felt he had to change to fit in a certain way?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because, you know, it's called, you know, this, especially in the industry, entertainment industry, it's a little bit tricky, you know, a little bit tricky, and it's filled with a lot of filthiness and satanism and a lot of violence too, and a lot of mental issues, problems.
Okay.
So I think Michael Jackson just had a mental health problem, of which if the labels that were working with him, his management, wanted to help him, they would have helped him. But more often you realize that labels are here to exploit artists.
Very
you know,
true.
And even some managements, because, you know, like today, let's say like Rockefeller signs you in, you know, like Jay-Z takes you in, the way, the type of deals and contracts they're giving you includes your life insurance. So once you become very big, they wish for you to die so that they can
Get everything
get
else.
everything. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is so sad. And you've talked about the music industry being full of so many ills.
Yeah.
What are some of the ills in the music industry and the music business that you've been able to, you know, experience firsthand?
First-hand corruption, you know, and how can I call it? Is it nepotism? How do we call this? Favorism. There's a lot of favorism in the music industry.
You think there is?
There
in what
is,
way?
yeah. In this way, watu wanapeana events na shows,
Oh, yeah.
kwa watu wao.
Yeah.
You know, if you know somebody, it's a godfather thing, you know. If you know a godfather who is a big event organizer, who is a big promoter, you know, atakupe utapata shows. But if you don't know anyone, no matter how good you are, you have to struggle. You have to build your way up there. And you can even become very good. There are very good artists out here who are not even invited in events and stuff like that, you know. They only perform in local, very, very, very low budget events, you see. But high budget events, it's full of corruption and bullshit, because that is why right now we are looking forward to Tusker. Is it Tusker Festival? It's called
Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
Look at the list of the artists that are there. Those are the very, very same artists that have always been there. There's no new artist performing there. You know, isn't that favorism?
But someone would look at it in a different way and say probably the guys who are there, they've worked over the years to earn a spot there.
What do you mean that these other guys that are not there are not working, or have not put in some major talents there?
I wouldn't say that, but also there are very good artists in Kenya.
Well,
the
yeah,
people
true.
don't get to hear them up until probably they win an international award.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, this guy has been here all along.
True. That is very true.
But also there are, like, for example, I don't know what your view of Calligraph is, but I think he's someone who has earned his place in the music industry. What do you think?
I think Calligraph is an example of hope to the hip-hop industry in Kenya. Calligraph is one of the artists that we should celebrate. And not just him, even Octo, even Yashinsky, you know, those are some, even Abbas. You know?
Abbas is amazing. Yeah. I'm hoping to interview Abbas when he comes back to Kenya. So yeah hopefully.
Especially people like Kala Mashaka, you know, these are people that are not being recognized today, are not being celebrated. Look at Johnny Vigeti's life. It has gone haywire, you know. He's gotten into drugs because no one is supporting real talent. Siku hizi ni mtu anaingia studio juu mama yake na baba yake wanafanya sijui wapi, anaingia anafanya purugushu paragasha, then it becomes a hit. You know, mama yake anaenda anaweka pale anapeana kwa media, anaonga watu fulani kwa radio na TV, analipa mabloggers, unaona. Then all of a sudden anakuwa famous. Then after a period of time anasink. Because Anna talent? Yeah.
Is there hope that we can change that?
Well, there is. As long as there are people like Calligraph Jones, Nyashinsky, there are people like that in the industry, then there is a sense of hope.
But I also feel that also the gatekeepers, or we as a country, we need to find ways of rewarding the guys who paved way for the rest of you guys.
Yeah.
In as much as someone might have messed up, someone might have gotten into drug use or alcoholism or whatever, other vices, but still, he or she did something to put Kenya music on the map.
True.
He or she deserves that recognition.
True.
Yeah. Which are some of the artists do you feel that, as someone who is passionate, and I know you're passionate in Kenya music, that kuna wale wasanii wenye they deserve that recognition, but they're not getting it?
Kala Mashaka to start with.
Yeah.
As long as we don't recognize Kala Mashaka as hip-hop, the first artist or rap group to represent hip-hop and to become known and even to travel abroad and perform in big events, Kala Mashaka is everything. Look at Giuliani, came from Kala Mashaka. These are people, look at all these people. They came, if it wasn't for Kala Mashaka, if it wasn't for people like Johnny Vigeti, then...
Even the likes of what we see now in Wakadinali, they draw their roots from Kala Mashaka.
Kala Mashaka, yeah.
Okay, here's the thing before we wrap up part one. Kala Mashaka is a name that everyone who listens to hip-hop music knows.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I don't think we can put a face to Kala Mashaka.
I don't think that way. I think we can. Huh?
Okay.
I think we can, because Johnny Vigeti is still alive. Stereo is still alive, These people are still alive. And they're struggling. They're really struggling, Johnny Vigeti should be used as the face of hip-hop in Kenya, It's just a little touch here and there. And I understand sometimes he falls back and drugs and stuff like that. But this is because of mental health. He feels that he's so big and he's not being recognized. He's putting in a lot and he's not being recognized. That is the feeling that every human being has. As long as you're doing a lot and then people don't recognize it, you withdraw, And that is where people end up in drugs.
Yeah.
And even crime. Yeah.
Have you ever felt that way?
A lot of times. Almost every day I wake up, I say, I'm not going to rap anymore. Almost every day.
Why is that?
Because, honestly speaking, to me, music rarely brings bread on my table. Look at the streams. Let's say today we are not living in the eras of CDs, where you produce CDs and make
and you can
money.
Sell in the streets and all that, yeah.
Unaenda pale Boomplay unafanya ndio upate do stream moja sijui ni mandugu ngapi. You understand?
Yeah.
Kabla ifike hata 10 bob, you have a lot of streams ndio ifike to 10 shillings peke yake, you see? So, yeah, I don't sioni.
What keeps you going?
What keeps me going? I think, really would I say, how would I place it? I think what keeps me going is just I'll say my children.
Okay.
My children, yeah. I'm living for them.
All right.
Yeah.
So we wrap up part one. We're coming back with part two, where we get to talk more about his music, Manze, his music. Yeah. I can't wait for you to listen to his music. But meanwhile, check out his music. Where can people get your music?
Right now, I'm only on YouTube.
On YouTube.
I'm
SUGU VUDU.
SUGU VUDU King. And Vudu is VUDU.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. And we also get to talk about love. Because love is amazing. Ama vipi?
Love is amazing.
Are you in love? All right, we'll get to answer that when we come back on part two. Definitely we get to kiss and say goodbye for part one. We'll be right back with part two. I am STL Yamumo, and of course my guest is SUGU VUDU King. Yeah. This is The Sport, an open and honest conversation about life and love and everything in between with me, STL Yamumo.